Throughout The Sopranos, we were treated to many romantic relationships. Of course, fans watched the ups and downs of the rocky romantic relationships of Tony and Carmela and Christopher and Adriana. Soprano fans even watched Meadow and Janice have their fair share of boyfriends. And with the many relationships that we saw throughout the series, there were even some that we never got to see, much like Janice's relationship with her 19-year-old who could apparently go all night. However, there's one speculated relationship theory that tops all theories, and this is the theory of Vito and Phil secretly being in a romantic relationship and that Vito knowing Phil's big secret, that he was gay. So, in this video, I will be investigating this theory and pointing out important evidence that stands behind this crazy theory. Before we get started, be sure to click subscribe and click the bell to get notifications on all upcoming Sopranos content and the many Saints of Newark content as well. And be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon. Links will be in the description below. Now, this theory of Vito and Phil's homosexual relationship is mostly visible in episode 11 of season 6, Cold Stones, as this episode displays the most evidence that supports this crazy theory, but I will also be discussing other aspects from other episodes as well. Throughout the episode of Cold Stones, there are many clues that hint towards Vito and Phil secretly having a romantic relationship and Phil being secretly gay. One of the first times when we see Phil in this episode, he is standing next to a Lou Costello statue in Lou Costello Memorial Park in Paterson, New Jersey. Now, it's interesting to note that the background of Lou Costello is somewhat similar to the theory of Phil and Vito's relationship. After doing some research, it's rumored that Costello and his longtime comedic partner Bud Abbott had their own sexual relationship going on behind closed doors, and the two were even investigated by the FBI for lewd activities and pornography. Now, Phil's body language and behavior in this scene is somewhat stealthy, and he looks to be on the lookout as he waits for Tony to arrive in the park. Phil seems to be increasingly worried about Vito being in town. He seems very eager to find out where Vito is hiding out and why he's back in town. After his meeting with Tony, we see Phil alone in the park and pigeons fly away with Phil as he leaves. Now, after doing some research, pigeons symbolize a variety of themes, including love, compassion, peace, and happiness. Interestingly enough, these are the traits that resemble Vito in his personality while hiding out in New Hampshire. The next time we see Phil in this episode, he's with his wife in their bedroom. We can see from their conversation that Phil doesn't seem to be the so-called man of the house, as we later learn that his wife does all the errands like getting his slacks tailored. As their conversation continues, so does Phil's questionable behavior. When Phil's wife makes a comment about a homosexual being in their own family, Phil is mysteriously quiet. It's also interesting to note that Phil is seen wearing no pants, this possibly being a metaphor for who wears the pants in their relationship. Phil's wife continues to control and dictate the conversation by bringing up and introducing the idea of killing Vito to Phil.
One thing I do know. Vito has to be made to face his problems squarely.
When we next see Phil, he comes out of the closet in Vito's motel room. Now, some fans think this is the biggest clue that supports this theory, as Phil coming out of the closet could possibly represent himself actually coming out as gay too, or some fans think that he is simply just mocking Vito's homosexuality. I definitely can reason with both interpretations. It's odd that Phil's men duct tape his mouth shut in an empty motel. From what we can see from the parking lot, it's not like there is a lot of customers in the motel. It's almost as if Phil knew Vito would say something if his mouth wasn't taped shut. Fat Dom even looks right back at Phil after he says he's a disgrace with a devilish look on his face. But it's Phil's gripping of the hand on the bed that is the biggest clue that supports this theory, as Phil's body language is somewhat questionable as he grips a hold of the bed as if he can't stand to watch his secret homosexual lover die right in front of him. When Tony and his crew are treated with the sudden news of Vito being beat to death as per Bobby, Christopher responds with a line of "love is quarrel."
Love is quarrel, maybe.
This represents a conflict being in a relationship that results in a verbal confrontation, much like what we see in the motel room, as the conflict could have possibly been Vito knowing Phil's gay too and wanting to throw him under the bus. Later on in the episode, we see Phil become disgusted at a male bodybuilding competition. To some, this reflects the highest representation of masculinity, as these individuals showcase incredibly large muscles with their bodies. Phil is eager to turn the television off immediately. Towards the end of the episode, we see Phil is struggling to fall asleep, and could possibly be thinking about why he killed Vito, could be thinking about a new lover, and just thinking about Vito in general. Something has to be keeping Phil up at night, and this could definitely be Vito. The mysteriousness of their relationship is visible throughout the episode, even with Phil saying this line.
I loved him like a brother-in-law, but God moves in strange ways.
If you rewatch the episode again, but this time in a more detailed manner, the clues are all there that display Phil had a homosexual relationship going on behind closed doors with Vito. This displays why Phil was so eager and desperate to kill Vito once he found out that he had returned to New Jersey. In episode 6 of season 6, Live Free or Die, when Tony learns about Vito's homosexuality and relays this information to Dr. Melfi, we learn that if a mobster is jailed for a lengthy period of time, he gets a pass for homosexual activity in jail.
A lot of your circle must have done jail time. They can't be strangers to male-male sexual contact.
What are you gonna do? There's no women there. You're there 5, 10 years.
And with Phil always projecting how he served 20 years in prison, it's very likely that Phil had some sort of sexual interactions with prisoners while incarcerated. If you're interested in The Sopranos and its representation of masculinity, I highly suggest you check out my video essay on masculinity's representation within The Sopranos. A link will be in the description below. Well, what do you think? Do you think Phil and Vito were secret lovers, or think Phil was gay too? Let me know down in the comment section below. For more Sopranos themed content, keep it locked here, right here on this channel.